Hi YouTube, it is Leslie here, and for this week's tutorial I thought I would do something that would help you kind of develop a weave in your toolkit. So I've got a couple of different pendants here. These are both waiting to be oxidized. They're very bright and shiny at the moment, but they've both got like a woven frame around the stone rather than just sort of like the wires coming up the sides, like something like this. So what I thought I would do is just give you a bit of a tutorial on a couple of different weaves that you can use to frame your pendants. Now obviously these two are very different. So this one's obviously rounded and shaped to the cabochon itself. This one has got sort of like a point that comes down and the stone sits up and kind of away from the bottom of the actual wire. So yeah, there's loads of different ways that you can use a frame. Obviously if you're doing something like a moon, you can do kind of a half frame. So there's loads of different ways, but really the main part of all of this is just really knowing how to do the different weaves, and then obviously with something like this, how to actually shape. So this one actually took quite a long time. Let me just zoom in so you can see this one a little bit better. It looks really simple, but it's 5 wires, and you literally are weaving around the middle wire for every wrap, and then every 2 wraps you're going around the top or the bottom and just securing them all together. And that runs all the way around, and you then swap that weave again, so you're wrapping it all the way around the middle, but then that gives you this little bit of extra detailing around the top of the pendant and the stone. This one has got a couple of different weaves on it. So along the side we've got a 5x2 wrap that comes up the side. It then goes into like a pyramid form, and then it's got a 6x1 across the top, which is obviously one around each wire and then one around all of them. So there's lots of different things that we can do. So what I will do is I will cut some wire, and then we'll just do some weaves, okay, based on framing a stone. So give me 2 moments and I'll get some wire. Okay, so we have got 4 lengths of round 0.8mm or 20 gauge copper, and then we've got a weaving wire which is 0.4, again round. So what we want to do with this is basically start on 1 wire and then work our way up. So with our first base wire, we're going to straighten the wires out a little bit, and all I'm going to do is just do 3 single wraps around that first base wire. Then I'm going to pull in my second wire, so we're just going to start here. So the weave that I'm going to do is this pyramid form that comes up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 3 around the 2 wires together. 1, 2, and 3. Pulling in the third wire. Excuse my dog, she's been very naughty tonight. Pulling in the third wire, just going to lay it up on top of those 2. And what we're going to do here is we're actually just going to go around the second and the third wire. So we're coming between wires 1 and 2, and then just once bringing in our 4th wire. The nice thing with this weave is you can add more wires. All of these sort of weaves, you can add more wires, so it can sort of build up quite nicely. So you can see we've kind of got 3, 3, and then up around 2, up around 2. Then we come back down, so we come between the 4th and the 3rd wire, and then down between the 2nd and the 1st wire. So we're just kind of coming back down the same way we went up, and then we do 3 wraps around wires 1 and 2, and then 3 wraps around wire 1 on its own. So I always kind of put a few weaves between each of these pyramids, because when you come to actually shaping, whether you're going around the stone or you're just trying to bend it to a shape, if you've got loads of wires down the bottom here, or loads of sort of single wraps, it moves a lot easier. Whereas if you kind of have everything all nice and tight and too much of it, it doesn't. So then we're going to go 3 wraps again around wires 1 and 2, up between 3 and 4, and then back down between 1 and 2. And what I find when I first started doing these weaves, what I found quite useful is if I had like a bit of paper, and if I drew, say like for example I've got 4 wires, if I drew 4 lines on that bit of paper, I could then kind of mark which wires I'm going around. So it kept my pattern consistent. Obviously once you get used to it and you sort of practice them a little bit, you just kind of keep going really, you just keep moving. Muscle memory sort of takes over a little bit. So then we go 3 around 1 and 2, and then 3 around 1 on its own. 1, 2 and 3. So what you can see is we've started to develop this pattern, and then all you're going to do is just every time you finish a pyramid, it's just squish them together, flatten them down, and it keeps it nice and tidy. So I'm just going to finish, I'll do one more on camera, and then I'm going to finish off camera, because otherwise this is going to be the world's longest tutorial. So one more, let me just get a bit more slack on the wire. So 3 around 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, and then once around 2 and 3, once around 3 and 4, back up over the top of number 3, and then down between 1 and 2, and then 3 around 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 3, and then 3 around number 1. So I am using my weaving wire off of the spool, so it allows you to basically keep control of your wire. It's not flicking everywhere, but also it reduces wastage, stops you from basically cutting off too much or not enough. Okay, so I'm going to finish this off camera. I'm going to say 10, but possibly 12. So hold with me for 2 minutes and I'll be back shortly. Okay, so we have finished creating, let me just zoom in, finished creating that pattern. And you just want to keep going up and down, just making sure that all of the points are nice and tidy. You're just squeezing everything in so it all sits nice and flat. And just making sure that each sort of point is nice and tidy. So you can see obviously there, give it a focus, it's got quite a bit of symmetry to it, which is nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck this around the back and give it a snip. So if I need more wire later, I will add it back in, but for now I'm just going to take it off. So to shape the wire, it takes a little bit of patience, and it's entirely up to you if you go point in or point out. So on this one I've gone point in, as you can see, which will probably bend a bit easier actually because you've got more space at the top. So what you're going to do is you're just going to hold the wires and just gently start to work up and down that weave, gradually building a very, very gentle curve, gradually, because if you do it too quickly you will kink the wire, and we want to try and keep this as sort of round and smooth as we can. So we kind of bend as gently as we can. Sometimes I do find that if I hold the wire in the middle point and just gently tease the wires around, it does bend rather nicely. So you can see you kind of get quite a nice little semicircular movement. Now, because my plan is to wrap a moon, so hence why I'm only going halfway. So you see that just sort of sits around the moon there. Not quite enough yet, but yeah, we are just about there. So what I want to do to frame the moon is the wires that are coming out here are going to sort of come back around the moon. Now, whether you decide that you want your pendant to sit that way or that way, either way, it's going to look nice. Okay, so this is where you can be quite creative. That would look quite nice. It's not hiding too much of the stone. But what you can then do is use these wires to come out and around. You would probably want maybe 2 weaves less than I've got on here to have enough wire to pull around. My plan is to go sideways like this and just allow the whole weave to caress around the point of that moon. So working with this kind of design is quite fiddly. You kind of feel like you want another pair of hands. If you one of the tips that I've sort of used in the past is to use electrical tape or masking tape, and you can kind of secure the stone to the wire. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and concentrate at the same time. So once you've got the shape, you can then start to attach the stone round to the wire. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna straighten that back out, is I think I'm gonna go a little bit tighter in here, and I'm actually gonna fold the weave over the moon. So let's just check on where I want to be with that one. Yep. So I'm just going to hold these wires here. Now, before I do anything, if you wanted to frame the entire stone, you just keep going. You know, you just keep going. You just keep building that frame up until you get to the top, and then all you need is a back to connect onto. So it's just playing with those wires. But I am going to just bring that around. You can't see what I'm doing. all I'm doing is I'm just bending these wires around. So then the stone is just going to sit inside. And I don't want it too far down because otherwise it's going to hide the stone. But then we're just going to do the same at the top. God, my hands are so slippery tonight, I can't grip anything. So we're just going to come round. I'm going to take those 2 wires just off that. So they're just sitting on the tip of the crescent there and holding that all in place. So you can see there, obviously the stone is not secure yet, but it's just sitting inside of those weaves. And if you wanted to, you can, and I might do this, is actually just fold these down a little bit. I'm completely off camera, I'm so sorry. Trying to concentrate. So those 2 wires have now come down over there, and these wires are just going to hook back up over here, and you can see do the same sort of movement here. So you can just bring these wires so they come down and they just grip onto the stone there. And then you can continue to kind of shape and mold and push the frame to where you want it to sit. So you don't want it to hide all of the stone, obviously. And then with these wires, what I'm actually going to do, because I don't want to build a big back frame on this one, what I'm actually going to do is bring these wires around and just do like a little swirly whirly. Try and keep those wires nice and flat. And like I say, once the stone is secure, obviously you'll be able to move this around a lot easier. So it's swirly whirly, and then that can come back around. So that's now starting to hold the stone in place. You can see the stone's not really moving. What I do want is this frame to just bend a little bit more back. That's it. Now, with these 2 wires, I'm just going to trace them up the back of the stone, and they can then start to help build up the bail. The stone is obviously still going to be exposed on that edge, so I can use some weaving wire to actually secure it. I'm just going to secure these wires so they're not all flapping around. Let me just get that one around there. And then this one come through here. And then just give that all round and a snip there. And like I said, really the point of this tutorial is the frame. It's not the design, it's the weave that creates the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 0.4mm and I'm going to take it around the back here, and I'm just going to do a couple of wraps around this back wire. So this is basically gonna help to pull the stone across, but also secure it a little bit more as well. So we're just going to do a couple of wraps around there. Dum, dum, dum. Get back on camera. Okay, so what we want to do is, it's almost like sewing, because we're going to try and come in and come through these gaps with this wire, which means we've got to try and get under here to grab them, and then we pull them through. So then we come back here and we go around the back wire, and this is where the pliers come in handy, because you can give everything a little bit more of a tug. Okay, so now we've got our stone set, locked in, secure, and the frame is attached and wrapped around the shape of the moon. So all that is left really for this pendant is the bail, and again that is entirely a personal preference. So we've got, let me just zoom out, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 wires coming from the top of the pendant here. So as you can see, the pendant is wrapped. Okay, so there we are, we've done the bail. Just needs a bit of straightening up. I've done quite a small bail because I don't really, you know, the pendant's got a lot of detail on it already. I don't really want a big fancy bail up there. So we've got a couple of little swirls, bit of detail. This will look really nice oxidized. So yeah, there you go. So obviously this tutorial is more about the actual frame, how to weave it, how to shape it. It is a nice style and it will look really nice oxidized. So once that's done, I'll do a little short when I oxidize it, so you can kind of see what it looks like. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how that's actually turned out on the front. I think it looks nice. The oxidization will really make the colours in this stone pop a little bit, you know, a bit crazy lace agate. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. I'd love to see your efforts, so you know, feel free to come and share them with me on, you know, Facebook or Instagram. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments. I do a new tutorial every week, every Sunday, so absolutely do try and subscribe so you get notifications for that. And then these three are going to go off and get oxidized shortly. So again, like I said, once they're done, I will make shorts up and show you what they look like. So anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Good luck with your frames. They are one that take a bit of practice and a bit of patience, but just keep going, don't give up, and it will all come together. Anyway, have a fantastic day, and I will speak to you all very soon. Take care until the next one. Bye.